what we need for this tutorial: wires of 20 and 26 gauge, round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, and flush cutter. A mandrel that you could use a pen or pencil, and the diameter of mine is about 7 millimeters. Or you could use a round nose pliers that support the same size. First of all, pick up the mandrel and 20 gauge wire. Wrap it all around the mandrel, and every time that you wrap the wire, check it out to be all straight and to be laid well onto the mandrel. Every once in a while, I squeeze every wrapped part, and I continue doing that till the end of my mandrel, which the length would be around 8 centimeters. And I have done that for the entire length. And here I'm going to extract the core mandrel. And I have something about a long spring. I cut it out at the very end with flush cutter. And this is the main part that we are going to make the wire earring with. And the most important part, of course. Here, I'm going to make every loop a little wide and make this spring a little separated. Be careful to make almost the same space between each of these circles. At the end, I'm using chain nose pliers to do that better and to make a space in between. Then I would press out every loop from the beginning and continue doing that till the end. I'm pressing every circle and loop so that it would be laid over the next one. You could do that with other pliers or just with your fingers as me, and do a soft hammering at the end. This is the flattened spring. This is the main technique in this tutorial, and you could make a vast variety of wire jewelries with just this technique. Here, at one side, I'm going to round the structure. I make this part all curved all around one point that is the central point, of course, and wherever is needed, just make 2 loops a little separated or even squeeze it if needed. Well, in this step, I need to fasten it up because it's a spring well. So I insert the thinner wire of 26 gauge into the first loop, and at the same time I shape the big circle, of course, and this is when I'm inserting the thinner wire in and pull it about 15 to 20 centimeters for this thinner wire that I'm going to weave, and then insert it into one of the other circles in front. So it's just like a big U shape that goes into the second loop, and pull the thinner wire gradually and insert it to the next loop. You could do that just one by one or leave 2 or 3 loops in between and then insert it to the next one. We are going to continue doing this wire weaving till the end. And every time that I'm weaving the wire, shape the big circle too, and this will be something like a swirl all around with those loops of the spring. So I cut the start point of the wire so that I could manage the thinner wire easier. And every time that I insert the thinner wire in, I suppose that I'm making a big circle with that thinner wire, and I insert it in, pull it and squeeze it, and again continue doing the same for the other parts. I curve the big circle and continue doing that for each of those circles. Of course, I'm going to leave 2 or 3 circles in between, and every pair of circles I'm going to insert a thinner wire. This is till now I had 1 circle here, and I'm going to continue that till the end. It's something like this till now. And this is the end, and the last loop that I'm going to wire weave. Here I insert the thinner wire in and make a connection here with wrapping the wire for about 2 or 3 times to fasten it up. As we don't have any soldering here, and we connect the pieces just with wire wrapping or wire weaving. And here I'm going to continue wrapping the wire and the last loop above, so that to connect the opening part here, and I'm doing that just like in helix to the same rhythm of the main shape. So I continue wrapping the thinner wire here. Okay, when we are done connecting all the parts together and finishing up the wire wrapping part, I would cut the thinner wire at the very end and squeeze it with chain nose pliers just like this, and to lay that over so that there wouldn't be any sharp edges. And also the starting point here, I'm going to cut it out with flush cutter and also squeeze it and push it into the structure just like this, so that when I touch it there is no edges. And here, this is the main decorative part of our wire earring, and I'm going to make a jump ring. You could make this jump ring with 18 gauge wire or with 20 gauge wire, but if you're going to make this with 20 gauge wire and somehow a big size, for example a diameter of about 5 millimeters or so, you are going to continue making the loop about half more times, something like this, and then press it out so that there wouldn't be torn apart easily. And at the end, we are going to make the earring hook. So I make a very little loop with that 20 gauge wire, and with round nose pliers, roll it back till we get into a teardrop shape, and just in front of the little loop, keep it with round nose pliers and make the wire all straight, and then cut it out in about half of a centimeters or 5 millimeters. For the jump ring, I prefer to use 18 gauge, so if you would like to have a better connection, choose the 18 gauge wire and make a jump ring. Insert it into the last loop and also add the earring hook, and then close the jump ring with both your chain nose pliers or one chain nose pliers and one round nose pliers, and squeeze it well. If there is any open spaces, just fill the gap and close it well. And that's it. A very beautiful wire earring, and I think it's unique and fantastic. What do you think about it? This type of round shaped earrings is go well with rectangular faces especially. And you could decorate it with just some beads, pearls, or stones.